Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. You are listening to the Daly Dose Sports Podcast, and I am your host, Clint Daly, coming to you from the Mile High City here in Denver, Colorado, and we are back for another week of talking sports with a dose of common sense. Hey, happy Wednesday to you. I hope your week is going well. I hope that you, your family, your friends are all staying strong and you're all staying healthy right now. And I'm telling you right now, I have got a jam-packed edition of the Daly Dose today, because we are going to begin today digging into our full 2025-2026 college football preview. But before we get to that, I'm going to be joined by a very special guest. And I'm telling you right now, if you know a young athlete, doesn't matter where, if you know a young athlete right now playing high school sports of any kind, trust me, this is going to be something you are going to want to listen to. Hey, we have so much to cover today. We need to jump in right now. Joining us this week on the Daly Dose, we have a very special guest because Brady Kellogg is making an appearance here on the Dose on behalf of a group called Positive Athlete. Now, Positive Athlete is a high school student athletic recognition and development program. It's kind of starting to expand a little bit. Had some success in Georgia, had some success in Pennsylvania, and they're looking, get this, to find scholarship opportunities for young student athletes. Kind of sounds like they're starting to have some success. If you have a young athlete in your life, trust me, you're going to want to hear what Brady has to say. But first and foremost, Brady, welcome to the Daly Dose. We are happy to have you here with us today.
Thanks, Clint. Happy to be here.
Brady, before we get going, and I'm going to drill down on this in a minute, but give me a little bit about your background. How are you involved in athletics? How did you come to be involved in this? Were you a coach? Were you an athlete? How did you get involved?
Sure. I've always been a sports fan. Actually grew up in Northern California, went to school out there as well at Stanford. And up until 2 years ago, my entire professional experience had been with the hometown Denver Broncos here. So nice. Leading partnership sales and did that from 98 until 2023. So
then how did you get involved in this situation? How did this come about?
Yeah, I was looking for something just more mission driven at this stage in my life to find ways to give back and do something that I felt personally motivated and passionate about. And fortunate to come across Positive Athlete. I had not heard of this organization, to be totally candid, until November of last year. They were doing amazing things, and really in the state of Georgia and then the Pittsburgh market. So fortunate to find them at the right time when they're in the midst of a national expansion that began in January.
Okay. All right. I'm going to ask the $1 million question. Tell us exactly what it is that Positive Athlete does.
Sure. We recognize, empower, and connect high character high school student athletes in the most simple form. So it's an organization that was founded by Hines Ward, the former Steeler and our now CEO, in the Pittsburgh market 12 years ago. And the whole premise was that there are lots of great opportunities for 4- and 5-star athletes, as well as for kids who may have good grades. But instead, the play here was, how can we design something that is really accessible to all? Because this is based on attitude and character, which are within your control. So they went to market with a program accessible to all boys and girls, high school athletes in that market. And very, very well received, as you can imagine. And the rest is kind of history.
Well, and I love what you're saying because, hey, we can't all be 6'8", 240 pounds and run like a gazelle, but we can control our effort. We can control our attitudes. So I really like what you're talking about here. Maybe it's too early to tell, but what kind of success are you having so far?
It's great. And let me just keep going a little bit the history, and then I can branch into where we are in Colorado. But yeah, as you can imagine, the program was just very well received in that regard. So from Pittsburgh, it really migrated to the state of Georgia, where we've been operating for a decade. And 80% of the high schools in Georgia have nominees. We have given out nearly $600,000 in scholarships and see 5,000 to 8,000 nominations a year. So that really became the model market. And, you know, we have the good fortune now to expand into Colorado.
Wow, that is impressive. I love this because, you know, you and I were talking a little bit before we started recording. There are so many kids out there that just need maybe a little boost, just need a little bit of help. And there are way too many people that are out there looking to take advantage of kids, not actually give them that boost and give them that help that they need. So I absolutely love this. Maybe this is too broad of a question. Kids that are, involved in athletics, what is the most important thing for them to kind of keep in mind in regards to this program? What kind of advice would you give a kid?
Yeah. Well, first off, I got to jump in. We are free. We are free to the nominator, free to the nominated. And I think to your point, there are a lot of people with different sorts of commercial models that,
You're right.
To their credit, have found their niche. That's not what we're about. So it was designed to be a very easy process where any adult can nominate. So a lot of teachers, a lot of athletic directors, coaches nominate, but parents can even nominate their own kids. It's a 5-minute, super easy process. As we talked about, any sport, boys and girls, grades 9 through 12. And if you really want to think about it from our standpoint, we look for the kids who overcome obstacles. So is this an injury? Is this a family situation? Those who give back in their communities, or those who just have a great attitude. So we don't care if you sit on the bench and don't play. That works for us too. If you're the right, high character attitude and mindset, that's really what we're all about. So a little bit different in that regard too.
This is absolutely outstanding. I love this, Brady. Who can apply? Any parent, any coach, teacher, whoever, who can apply for this?
Yeah, well, I'll jump in too, because a lot of programs are application based, led by the student. Ours is nomination based. So the key thing is it's an adult. So 18 plus can nominate. So, and you go to our website, positiveathlete.com. It's a very intuitive process, and that really sets in motion the process. I always encourage you to don't overthink it, right? There's so many benefits in it for the student athletes. If you're even considering it, just act on it. It can take as little as 5 minutes. And even if you don't have every last little detail, that's okay, because any nominated student gets an email and a chance to add to their own profile. And we really look at that total selection when we get around to our scholarships. And also want to jump in here, everybody, their ears perk, and rightfully so, at scholarships. And we're very proud of our giving legacy. But where we're different too is celebrating every nominee. So while we do awards events, while we do scholarships and have a very select through a competitive process, numbers of winners there, every nominee in our program gets free lifelong career, character, and leadership resources. And the data is there to back it up. So if you, Clint, I think your words were an average size fish in a small pond in high school, we're doing things the right way.
Yes.
I saw there that you officiated some middle school games. Let's say you're volunteering your time as a coach or a middle school official, you would have been a perfect candidate back in the day. And when you get that email that says, Clint, you've been nominated as a positive athlete, 97% of those kids experience a boost in confidence. 96% of them are inspired to do more of what made them a nominee. And then 4 out of 5 of them report just being hungry for these sorts of additional resources we provide on topics that, to be candid, just, there's not enough time in the school day to cover in many cases.
Yeah, you're right. And I know just from a standpoint of going to a smaller school, you don't always have that person that's kind of lobbying on your behalf. So to have someone like Positive Athlete that's going to go and say, hey, here's some resources that you might not even be aware of that are going to help you. I'm telling you, you might want to get involved in this situation. So what about, I'm a young athlete. Maybe I don't have that adult in my life. How can young athletes go about getting involved in any capacity? Do they go talk to their coach? Do they go talk to, a parent, whatever? How do they get involved?
Yeah, I'd highly recommend, socialize with a trusted adult or a coach or a teacher in your life, because I think this is also an icebreaker into a conversation. We'd mentioned earlier, I think the stats we go off, 97% of the kids who play high school sports won't go on to play the next level. At some point, everybody's career is going to come to an end. For me, it may have been the end of high school. For my son, it may be at the end of college. In a case like Champ Bailey, who's our lead athlete and well-known in this Colorado community from his work on the field with the Broncos, his career was done at 35, looking for other stuff to do. And if you think about it, there are so many skills developed during athletics, whether it's teamwork, work ethic, accountability of showing up on time, communication. What's it mean to represent your school with pride in a uniform? Those translate to the workforce. And that's really one of our driving purposes, is how you help prepare athletes for life. And if we can, help raise awareness on those transferable skills, and even beyond that, how to leverage that in a corporate interview setting. Put this on your resume. Anybody out there who's got kids who are high school age, they're all scrapping for the summer jobs, but
Sure.
Whether it's another scholarship application or a first real job application, put on there that you're nominated as a positive athlete. And I all but guarantee you the interview is probably going to latch on to that one and say, tell me more.
Well, and that interview process alone is so invaluable for kids. So many kids don't get that experience. You're going to have to do it the rest of your life. You might as well get a little bit of experience doing it. I absolutely love this. What about just the typical parent, the typical fan? There's a lot of people that go just kind of watch their old school play. Can those fans go, hey, nominate a kid that they see in their community?
100%. There are kids out there doing things the right way, probably going home at night wondering, did anybody notice or care? And here's your chance for that reinforcing pat on the back. And I love this theme of go nominate somebody from your own high school. Heck, you may not even know who that is. Pick up the phone, reach out to your athletic director, a former teacher, a principal, ask, and say you want to act. Another great legend in our community, Jake Plummer, had exactly that conversation with him. So here we have Jake Plummer, Pro Bowl quarterback. He nominated somebody from his old high school in Idaho. He was actually one of the first ever nominees from that state. And that's just a great way. If you have Jake's credentials, great. But Clint, you can nominate, and there's no limit to how many you nominate too. So, our perfect model is really, again, we love parent community engagement, but for a school athletic director to tell each of your coaches, just nominate one kid. Sure. If you want to do more, great, but it takes 5 minutes. You have all school year to do it. So why wouldn't you do this? Another part of your vocabulary, I think this is like common sense perspective. Well, this is common sense way to pay it forward and make our community stronger and better.
You're absolutely right. And I just love what you're doing. And it's funny because, you'd reach out on an email and I kind of looked at what you're doing and I was like, this sounds too good to be true. I got to check this out for myself, but my goodness, you're focusing on the exact things that we taught as coaches. And so many of these life lessons that you do get from athletics, so many of these things that you're going to carry forward the rest of your life. There are so many of us, I know I do. I still rely on things I was taught as a kid playing athletics. And I know sometimes athletic gets a bad rap. We know there's good and bad and everything. But some of those skills, some of those, character things you learned, they stick with you for the rest of your life. And to get an opportunity like this and to have a group like Positive Athletes going to back you and help you and give you some resources, like you said, why wouldn't you do this? This is absolutely phenomenal. Okay. What is the best way for someone to nominate? What is the quickest way is go to a website? What's the quickest way to do this for someone to get involved?
Yeah, I just say go to positiveathlete.org. It's a very intuitive website. You go to nominate. We'll formally open for nominations again with the school year cycle, September 9th. If you were to go today, depending on when you're actually listening to this podcast, worst case, if you're catching us and we aren't live during the school year, there's a pre-nominate thing, and that would trigger an automatic reminder. So I would say, well, it's top of mind, just go in there and do it. And then from there, you click on regions. Colorado, no surprise, we're in the mountain region. You get to Colorado. Every day we're trying to enhance our website. We've grown quickly, right? From 2 people into 2 states. So very soon here, we should have information on our 14 student athletes we awarded last year, 2 coaches, an athletic director. And they are just amazing stories. And who knows, maybe on a future episode, we can actually have some of our award winners on the show, because I think that'd be really uplifting for everybody to see the future of what we have in this community. But Colorado has just been tremendous. So to give you a little perspective, when we expanded nationally, we have a staff presence in 7 different states. The goal was to get to 20% of high schools with nominees. Any guesses where we ended up in Colorado?
I would imagine you were pretty strong in Colorado, but I'm guessing
53% of high schools had nominees in just 3 months. So that is the highest percentage of any state in the country other than Georgia, where they had a decade head start. We also had nominees covering all 27 CHASA state sanctioned sports, as well as many independent sports. Because while we love the school sports landscape, if you are pursuing a sport independently, you're eligible too. And just knowing the different adventure and non-traditional makeup of Colorado, we love to celebrate as many different sports as possible. An aspect we've not yet had the chance to get into is Positive Athlete also has strategic alliances with many national governing bodies of sport. So think USA Wrestling, USA Swimming, even USA Team Handball, USA Archery. And I'll posit archery because I think we had over 30 nominees, archers, high school archers from the state of Colorado. And I got to tell you, there's some amazing stories in there. So it's really a fun way for these other sports to frankly source some stories they may not even be aware of from their own membership. So in that regard, it really is just a great aggregator of good news around sports.
This is absolutely incredible. I absolutely love what you guys are doing. I really do. And I told you before, to get involved in a situation with someone that is actually trying to help kids, trying to find good situations. And hey, it's not a matter of we're just going to give you a bunch of free stuff. That's not what it's about. You're going to earn it. You're going to have to be the right kind of kid. And I love that you're rewarding character. You're rewarding hard work. You're rewarding those attributes that so many times they get overlooked. And that is the best part about this. But you're rewarding them with what could be something really, really big. So I'm excited about that. You mentioned a little bit about coaches or administrators. Did you say something about they could be nominated as well?
Correct. Yeah. I start with student athletes.
Sure,
right? They're the focus of what we do. They are who the scholarships will go to. But our system does also allow you to nominate a coach or an athletic director. So we had phenomenal things. So Jay Peltier is a track coach from Summit High School up in the Breckenridge area. More than doubled participation in this program and did some really cool things to welcome, at least in particular, one special needs athlete. So he was one of our coach nominees, as well as Ray Lopez, Lincoln High School, who returned to his alma mater and did some great things there. On the AD side, and this I think speaks to, we try to reach to every corner of the state. We're really proud to get into a lot of the remote small towns. So Roxanne Cerna is the athletic director at Centennial High School in the San Luis Valley. She one of the most funding challenged districts in the state. She was able to secure new uniforms for all of her sports teams and new baseball dugout. So those are the sorts of things that we look to highlight. I touched earlier on Champ Bailey being involved. He was very, very hands-on personally for the awards event we did in June. So each of those individuals I mentioned, as well as our student athlete winners, personally were on stage dialoguing, interfacing with Champ.
This is outstanding. I absolutely love it. Brady, I want to thank you so much for taking the time. And I do want to say, hey, you've got an open invite. Anytime you want to come back on, we'll be in contact. We'll be in touch. But I really love what you're doing here. We're going to get this out to as many people as we possibly can. Hey, if you're listening, you owe it to whoever, you're kind of supporting. Go to the school, back to your old school, go check it out. That kid that's working hard and maybe not getting recognized, get them on this list. And again, even if they don't finish at the top, they're going to get some reinforcement. They're going to get some support, and they're going to get some motivation and some confidence to keep it going. Brady, I want to thank you so much. Looking forward to working, not just, with you personally, with Positive Athlete in general. I think this is a phenomenal cause, and I think it's something people should really, really get behind. I really love what you're doing here. But thank you so much. We would love to have you back anytime.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it. Thanks, Clint. Thanks for helping spread our message. And my message, just don't delay, right? We all have things on our list and we don't get to it. It's 5 minutes. It's easy. Yes. Who knows? You could change a kid's course for life.
Exactly.
I'll also say there are a lot of programs out there, but there's a reason why CHASA, the Colorado High School Coaches Association, all those people, this is why you got into coaching.
You're right.
Colorado Athletic Trainers Association from a mental health standpoint, Colorado Rural Schools Alliance, most recently the NIAAA, that is basically the governing body of high school athletic directors. There's a reason all these people are excited about our program. So encourage everybody to act on it.
Okay. I hope you enjoyed that interview with Brady Kellogg on behalf of Positive Athlete. And, one small note we do need to make is that it doesn't matter where you are. He's talking about being in Colorado, being in Georgia, being in Pennsylvania. Anyone in the nation can go nominate, and you can go nominate a kid from a different state. They don't have to be in Colorado. It could be a California kid. It could be a Texas kid. If you've got that special kid going out and doing the right things on and off the playing surface, go nominate him. Don't say you didn't know. Go get involved. Go get that nomination in. But right now, we are going to begin our 2025-2026 college football preview. I can't wait for college football. Let's get to it right now. Joining us right now on the Daily Dose, a longtime friend of the show. In fact, we were just talking about this before we started recording. I think this might be like our, 7th, 8th, 9th year doing this college football preview with this special guest. But we've got West Virginia Mountaineer and acting president of the Daily Dose I-Team that investigates the big stories and gets the information no one else can get. Big Rob is here to help us preview that 2025 college football season. I am hoping after a season of trial and major error that we're going to get it right this year. But Rob, welcome back. We always enjoy your visits to the Dose.
Yes, it's good to be back. This is how I know football is finally here when we do the preview. So I'm ready.
I am too. You know what? It's so funny because from like the Super Bowl until like now, I'm just like, and hey, I love college hoop, but NBA, there is a place for baseball. There's something, but it's just not the same as football season. And, we were talking about it a little bit before. Rob, I'm looking at this college football season. It's wide open, isn't it?
It really is. Like I said, I know we'll get into it here in a bit, but I can talk myself into probably 7-8 teams, and I can talk myself right back out of those same teams. So there's no clear-cut favorite. Past couple seasons, there's usually like 2 or 3 teams I feel pretty good about. But yeah, this year it's pretty open.
I don't know. I'm looking at like 12, 15 teams, maybe. I have no idea. Rob, they have tweaked that 12-team college football playoff this year. The college football playoff will feature a 12-team format again in 2025. We saw that last year. However, we're just going to have a straight seeding model for the playoff field. That means the top 4 teams in the final selection committee rankings will get those first-round buys. We won't jug them around based on conference championships or any of that nonsense. Last year, you'll remember, the top 4 conference champions got the buys. But this is better, right? Last year we had a mess. We didn't have one single 1 through 4 seed even get past the second round. We ended up with a final 4 of a 5, a 6, a 7, and an 8. That just tells me the format was probably flawed. And I'm hoping that this format's going to bring us better results.
Yeah, I think it makes more sense, like I said, the top 4. But I think we'll still probably get that controversy that always comes because you'll have like a 2-loss Clemson and a 2-loss Bama. And so you're trying to figure out, which one. But I think they did keep the automatic bids for the top 4 and top 5, get the automatic bid. So I think that's what's most important. If you win your conference, you get an automatic bid. So I'm glad they kept that part. And the seeding should make it easier.
Yes, because last year you could see the seedings were so off. And then the playoff came and we were like, this doesn't feel right. This all feels off. And then sure enough, we were right. It was off. It was dumb. It was just poorly planned. I think they maybe had the right intentions. It was poorly executed. But today, Rob, we're going to jump in. We're going to look at the big conferences. We're going to take a look at the contenders. We're going to take a look at the teams that we think are going to win these conference championships and play their way into the playoff. And we might have to take a look at, who's going to win the Heisman and who's going to make that 12-team playoff. And I'm telling you from my own standpoint, I am like burning through the paper, erasing my awful, stupid preview because I'm like, like you said, I'm talking myself in, I'm talking myself back out. I look at the schedule. Oh, this doesn't even make sense. All right, Rob, it's going to be tough, but we're going to do it. We're going to get through this eventually. And, it's funny because every year we've been doing this, like I said, probably, gosh, I don't know. It's probably been 8 or 9 years we've been doing this now. And every year we don't talk about who we picked. We kind of keep that secret. We kind of go, okay, we're not going to talk about it. And then we come back to it. Basically, we end up with really, really similar picks. And I know you're listening and you're thinking, oh, no, I can tell they don't plan ahead of time. Shut up. Keep those opinions to yourself. But we do usually end up on a very similar page at the very end. We'll see if it happens again this year. Rob, we're going to start off in that Atlantic Coast Conference that was won last year by the Clemson Tigers. And then the SMU Mustangs actually also kind of squeaked into the college football playoff as well. Let's take a look right now at what the ACC is going to look like this year. Rob, how many contenders do you have? And then we'll get to your champion. But how many contenders do you have in the ACC?
Well, I broke it down a little bit different this year.
Okay.
So I've got 2 contenders for you, and then I got 3 teams that just kind of honorable mentions I just wanted to kind of throw out there.
Give me an honorable mention. What do you got for an honorable mention?
My first one is going to be Georgia Tech.
Yeah, I kind of like them.
Yeah, so back-to-back winning seasons, and their past couple seasons, they've usually been good for like an upset or two. Again, I don't think they have enough to win it, but the offense would be good this year with King and Haynes back on, with both King and Haynes back. So I think this is a good team. Again, couple upsets, not enough to win the conference, but I like them.
I do too, and I would agree. And I kind of had them in the back of my mind as well, because I look at them and go, they're kind of getting some continuity. We saw them last year pull off a couple of upsets that we didn't see. I like that Georgia Tech pick. I'm going to throw out a team, and it may be one of the ones that you wanted to mention. I don't think they're going to be a contender. I don't even think they're going to be good. But I do want to mention the North Carolina Tar Heels, who now have Bill Belichick and his 22-year-old wife apparently coaching them. UNC is going to get a ton of hype. You've got Belichick. You've got his wife possibly calling plays. I'm not really sure. But here's the weird part. That early schedule is really soft. Mm-hmm. If they just don't trip over their own feet, they're going to get a few wins, and they might get a top 25 ranking, and then they will crash and burn hard, and it will get really, really ugly. So I'm going to throw out UNC as not a contender, if that makes any sense. Rob, what else do you got?
Next one I got for you is Florida State.
Yeah.
They've revamped the roster. I think they'll be better at quarterback. Thomas Castellanos, I believe.
Yeah.
From NC State came in, and Gus Malzahn is the OC now. Norvell on the hot seat. So I liked him initially when I first looked at it. Then I looked at the schedule, and I got nervous again. But yeah, so I think, like I said, better play. You might see some, up and down. Obviously, a lot better than last season. But yeah, just kind of wanted to throw them out there.
Yeah, I would throw them out there as well. And Norvell, like you said, he is on a bit of a hot seat. It's all fun and games when you only win 2 or 3 games. But now, if you come back to back and you have another, tough year, he's going to be in some trouble real, real quick. I'm going to throw out a team, and I'm going to make them a little bit of a contender. Although, if I'm being honest, I don't think they can win it. But I like this team. I like the Louisville Cardinals. I think with USC transfer quarterback Miller Moss, they're going to go out and they're going to put out some offense. Head coach Jeff Brom, he can coach offense. I just worry that Louisville's defense is going to let them down. And the further they get into the schedule, we're going to see them lose some high-scoring games. Fun to watch, probably entertaining to watch. I like Louisville. I just only like them as a friend. I don't love Louisville. Rob, who else you got in the ACC?
Yep. Next one I got for you is SMU.
Yeah.
You already mentioned them. I think they'll be a little bit better. They tried to get bigger in the portal, which I think cost them down the line. This is another one there. We've got a tough schedule here. Yeah. But I think building off of last year, they tried to address, their concerns that kind of cost them at the end of the season. So I like them in the mix too as a contender.
I do too. And, in that ACC, SMU is going to be able to hang. They've got some speed at some skill positions. They're going to be at least, again, another team that's going to be entertaining to watch. All right, so now we're down to actual contenders. I've got one other contender and a champion. What's your first contender up that you got?
That's the same. We probably have the same two. I got a last contender and a champion. Contender, Miami.
Yep, and I got the same contender. Yeah, Mario Cristobal, he's done a pretty good job. And when he first got, they were kind of looking at it going, are you really going to get this go? I don't know. He kind of is changing that roster. Now they get former Georgia quarterback Carson Beck. I would think their running game should be improved. I don't know how much I believe in Beck, but I mean, Miami is not only a contender for the ACC, they're a contender for the playoff, aren't they?
Yeah, I agree. Like I said, Carson Beck, maybe a slight step down for Cam Ward, but what I like the most, they brought in Corey Heatherman from Minnesota to run that defense, which cost them down the season. Minnesota had a good defense last year, so I think if that defense improves, you get enough from Beck that they're right there in the mix.
If your offensive line can protect Beck, I think Beck is the kind of kid that can do some damage. If he's under pressure, we saw last year, he really struggles. Having said all that, we both got Miami as a contender. I'm assuming we've both got that same champion. Rob, they're just pretty loaded, aren't they? Who's your champ?
It's Clemson, loaded. And the biggest thing for me, Dabo finally got in the portal. He didn't, kind of dipped his toe in, pulled,
Didn't
but
do a lot, but he did a little.
They got 3 out of there that I think can compete right away. That'll help. Cade Klubnik back another season, more experience. So yeah, I like them to win the ACC.
Well, and that defense was pretty good last year. They might be better this year. And then, it's funny because we kind of talked about the schedule. You look at these teams, you're like, oh, they got this. I'm looking at that schedule. Hey, that schedule's not bad. Yes, you open at home with LSU. That's tough. After that, they're probably going to be favored in every single game the rest of their year until they get to, maybe the ACC title game or the college football playoff. Clemson should roll. Cade Klubnik, it started to kind of figure it out last year, and I feel like Clemson, they're going to be a big dog. And with that schedule, that might put them in a really, really favorable position in the playoff. All right. So we both got Miami contender, Clemson champion, and I don't know. I just can't see anybody else coming out of that conference other than the teams we talked about. Let's move forward. Let's go next to the Big 12. That was won last year by Arizona State. They went all the way to the college football playoff quarterfinals. Hey, they gave Texas all they wanted in that game. Came up a little bit short in the end. Arizona State's going to be tough again this year. Can they be that good again? Because they lost one very key component. Rob, what do you got in that Big 12? What kind of teams do you have in the Big 12?
Same breakdown. I got 3 mentions. I got 2 real contenders, and then my champ. Okay. First mention I'm going to throw out is going to be Baylor.
Yeah.
18 returning starters. They're solid on both sides of the ball. I'm a little concerned, though. Last year, they started off slow. They kind of picked it up at the second half of the season. So this is one of those that could fall apart. Like, I'm not real sure about the coach. So, again, if they start slow or, lose a bad one early, this could fall off the rails. But good on both sides of the ball. And in this conference, I think they'll be right in the mix.
Well, and Baylor's one of those teams that, I think they could be right in the mix. And is Dave Aranda coaching for his job? Because it sure feels like he is. He's on a bit of a hot seat, too. He's got to come out and be a little bit better than they have been as of recently. All right, give me one more of those teams that you kind of like, you sort of like.
CU.
Okay.
I think they're still going to be good. Talent, still recruiting through the portal. Schedule is a lot tougher. I think the Travis Hunter loss is, probably too much to fill. The quarterbacks in there, they might be okay at quarterback, but I think that Travis Hunter loss, like I said, is going to be too much. So I think, might make a little noise. So, yeah, I think, worth a mention.
Okay, we'll mention Colorado. I think Travis Hunter hid a lot of flaws that Colorado had even last year just because of how good he was. There were times he went and got balls that he probably had no business getting. There were times that he shut down one side of the field and allowed that defense to look better than they even were. I think you're right. I think Travis Hunter is going to be sorely missed. And again, I always go back to the same thing with Colorado. The way they are building, I worry about depth, and I worry about them at the point of attack at the line of scrimmage on both sides of the ball. If they can shore those things up, yeah, they're going to make a little bit of noise. If they can't, it's going to be a little tough season because, like you said, that schedule is going to ramp up a little bit. It's going to be pretty tough. All right, you've got one more team. I'm going to throw out my same thing. I don't know that they're a contender, but I'm going to lob them out there. I think the Utah Utes are going to be tough. I actually think head coach Kyle Whittingham, he might be thinking about retirement. And remember, last year, the Utes went 1-5 in one-score games. That's not going to happen again. Those things usually even out. I doubt that happens again. They were, kind of trying to figure out who's our quarterback, Uncle Rico, the other guy. They weren't really sure. Hey, they return 11 starters from a team that will be very hungry after struggling last year. I think Utah is dangerous. I don't know that they're a contender. I think they could be dangerous, though. I'll throw out Utah. What's your last other team?
Yeah, I agree. I actually had Utah as a contender. And one thing I'll mention, Devin Dampierre is coming over from New Mexico along with that offensive coordinator. So Utah, the defense is going to be good. So like I said, if that offense, kind of figures it out, that makes sense. And then I'll give you my last mention was before Utah was Texas Tech.
Yeah.
It might be like a year too early. Obviously, they're spending money like crazy. So that's going to pay off eventually. Like I said, I think we might be a little bit too early for that. But like I said, just the way they're spending, they have the talent. So there is a scenario where they could roll. Like I said, I think we might be a season too early on them. But like I said, just the way they're spending, they should be in the mix. If not this year, next year for sure.
Yes, they're spending big money, and they start the season off with a little bit of, it's a manageable schedule. You could get a few wins, and if you could maybe steal one or two, maybe you get yourself a ranking. Maybe you get a little bit of attention. Yeah, I like that Texas Tech pick as well. They are spending crazy amounts of money down there, so they better get something out of it. Okay, but I'm interested to see who is your last contender, because we probably have the same teams or are very close.
Yeah, my last contender is Arizona State.
Okay, we're gonna swap these exactly then, because I've got them as my champion. But Arizona State, they're gonna be tough again. They're gonna be really, really good, and that crazy coach Kenny Dillingham, he's bringing back 16 starters, and I know they lost Cam Scadaboo. What's going to be interesting to see, do they have enough with quarterback Sam Levitt to overcome that loss? That's a big loss. Scadaboo did everything for them. Receiving, running, blocking. He did it all. He was kind of the heart and soul of that team. I'm going to take the Sun Devils to repeat, but it wouldn't shock me because I bet we have the same other team. My contender, your champion, probably that team in Manhattan, isn't it?
Kansas State. Yep.
Yeah.
And yeah, I went back and forth on these two. Like I said, I think I'm going to give the nod to the coach, Chris Kleiman.
Yep.
Avery Johnson's back. Offense is good. Their problems were on the secondary, and they tried to address that in the portal. So, yeah, just between the two, I like Kleiman just a little bit better, so a slight nudge. And, Kansas State is my champion.
Yeah, I did the same thing, and I went back and forth on this. I had it one way, and I ended up switching at the last second. Well, and, I mean, you think about that Kansas State squad. They go 9-4 last year. They win their bowl game. And Kleiman goes out, and he teaches his offensive and defensive lines how to be tough right up front, be tough in the trenches. Kansas State is going to be an absolute load. Okay, so Rob takes Kansas State. I've got Arizona State. I know. It's kind of like when you were a little kid, you're watching your favorite show, and you realize, hey, there's only like 5 minutes left. Timmy is still in the well. They're never going to find him in time. Well, don't you worry. We are going to finish up our college football preview with Big Rob next week, so make sure you come back. Because next week, we will get to all of our conference previews. We will get to our picks for the Heisman Trophy. And yes, we will get to our predictions for who will be going to the college football playoff this coming January. So be sure you check out The Dose again next week, and be sure you let a friend know to listen as well. Hey, I want to say thank you so much to Brady Kellogg from Positive Athlete for stopping by The Dose. I really love what Positive Athlete is doing. I want to give a thank you to Big Rob for kicking off our college football preview. And I want to say thank you to each and every one of you for listening to the Daly Dose every week. Thank you for the emails. Thank you for the texts. Thank you for the tweets. But more than anything, thank you for sharing the show, for sharing the videos, for sharing the articles with someone that you know. We absolutely love it when you do that. I'd say thank you to JSP. Could not do any of this without you. I will see you all next Wednesday. Have a great week, everybody.